Please note that this is just a fitting guide and it requires a certain amount of competence in DIY to complete. Depending on which size T-bar pull handle is chosen, you will need to decide a position on the door. Once chosen, measure how far from the edge of the door you want the pull handle to sit and mark with a pen or a pencil. Depending on the length of the handle chosen, you need to check your fix-in center measurements and mark the lower point on the door. In this guide, our handle is 900mm long and the fix-in centers were 700mm apart. Next, drill the holes needed to fit the bolt through fixings. Here we used a 10mm drill bit and drilled through the entire thickness of the door. Be careful to make sure the holes you are drilling are perfectly horizontal, as you will need to pass the bolts through this in the next step. Once the holes have been drilled, pass the bolt through the hole using a metal washer. If fitting to a glass door, the rubber pads must be used first, then the metal washers. Place the end of the pull handle over the protruding threaded bolt and proceed to manually turn the bolt until it stops. Depending on the thickness of the door, you may need to cut some of the bolt away using a hacksaw. Using a tape measure, check the amount that will need to be removed from the bolt. Remove the bolt from the door and proceed to cut away any excess length with a hacksaw. Once cut down to the required length, proceed to pass the bolts through the door, not forgetting to use the metal washers, and begin to hand tighten the bolts into the handle stems. Do this for both bolts until you can no longer tighten them. There is a small hole on each of the bolt heads where you can fit an Allen key and begin to rotate the bolt to give it a final tighten and create the perfect fit. Check the fixing is tight enough on the top bolt and also the bottom bolt. If you are unsure about any part of this fitting, then please consult a professional.